Perfect. So I am now recording just so I could post this in YouTube when we're done. The very top of your page, whether you're in Google Classroom or in Canvas, this has been posted in both. I prefer you to do this in Canvas because I can grade it and I can add comments that you can see in Canvas. When you submit this to me in Google Classroom, I can't do anything but look at it. So yes, I can give you credit for it, but I can't send you feedback the way I can in Canvas. And you still will be getting a fourth quarter report card. It'll just have your feedback and such on it from the work we've been doing. So it is important that it gets turned in. So if you need to use Google Classroom, fine, as long as you're doing it. But I'm going to skip reading and we're going to do reading last. Okay, so we're going to start with the science. So today in science, we're working on the human body systems. So the little dashes, that's what you're responsible for doing today. Okay, so it says you need to use the human, this is not it, hold on. This is May 1st. I want May 4th. I was like, we already did that on Friday. Here it is. Okay. So make sure yours says Monday, May 4th at the top and not Friday, May 1st. Because I opened up the wrong one, so I'm sure I might have did something crazy. We're still skipping reading. I'm coming back to it last, but now science looks right. Science, we're working with human body, but what we're going to do today is we're going to watch a human body systems video. It's about 13 minutes. So I'm going to share it on my screen so you can either watch it with me or you can watch it later on, okay? Once we're done with that video, we're going to pick 2 systems that they talked about, and we're going to type about them in this box where it says type your response below. We're going to type about those 2 systems. This should be a complete sentence. A lot of you, when you submitted your work last week, you were not giving me complete sentences and you were not giving me anything that proved you actually watched or read the passage. You gave me nonsense that I could not give you credit for, which makes me very frustrated because you understand my expectation in the classroom. If I ask you to answer in complete sentence, please answer in a complete sentence and make sure it makes sense before you submit it, because I'm spending time reading them and giving you feedback, and some of my feedback is taking longer than it's even taking you to do the work. And I know it. That's why we're doing this together so that you can get a refresher on what the expectation is. So anything that's blue is a link and you can click it. So this human body system, I'm going to open it up. It's going to open up the video. Feel free to watch it with me on Zoom, or you can watch it again later on. Okay, it's going to be about 13 minutes. And hopefully it pops up. It might have a delay. $98, $99, $100.
Hey, Zoe, what's up?
Oh, hey, I was just trying to get a workout in before Dr. Jeff arrives for today's lesson, but I'm wiped out.
Well, no wonder you did 100.
Yeah, but I started counting at 95.
I think it's great you're staying fit, Zoe. You know, athletes run in my family.
Really?
Yes, this treadmill is my cousin.
Okay, who set off my bad joke alarm?
Cutie.
We were just sitting here talking about working out.
Yeah, I was training earlier, and now I'm out of breath, and my heart's beating much faster.
And I bet you're really hungry too, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. How'd you know that?
Magic!
Really?
No, something even more fantastic. Science.
When'd you install that?
Oh, it came with the bad joke alarm. Anyway, it's simple actually. Zoe just conducted a little experiment on her own body systems.
Wait, so by doing one small thing, like lifting a weight, it can affect all different parts of me? How?
I thought you'd never ask, Zoe. I'm Dr. Jeff Vinegar, and today we're gonna pump you up on the science of the human body system. Today, we'll learn that the body is made of multiple interacting systems. The systems we'll discuss today are the circulatory, digestive, respiratory, and muscular systems. And we'll find out how the body systems work together to help living things survive.
Stop, Luna.
Don't tell me.
Stop.
Why? I want
gosh, on my face.
Well, I'm sorry, but you're gonna have to sit here, and she's gonna see your face.
That's why you didn't do good. So you must.
Come on, let me play. What is going on with this light? What in the world? Okay, so if you're unmuting yourself, please make sure you're muted, because every time you unmute yourself, it pauses my video thinking you're trying to talk. So if you need to say something, that's wonderful, go ahead. But if not, make sure you're muted, and let's see if that fixes my video problem so that we can do our science activity. What is going on? Or we might just not be able to watch it at the moment. I don't know what's going on.
Well, Labrica, where we make.
Okay. Moving on. That's driving me crazy. It's not wanting to load. Hold on. Now my whole screen's frozen. Okay. So since the video's not wanting to pull up for us at the moment, the easiest thing for me to do is we're just going to do a quick review together, and you can watch the video later on if that's something you're interested in doing. So this way we can move on since it's not wanting to play the video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself if you want to participate and answer these questions. So right now you should be muted. If you will unmute yourself if you're wanting to answer these questions so that I can hear you, or you're just going to be talking to your computer. So we're going to go through some human body systems to kind of review what we already know so that we can then pick two of them to write about, okay? So the first human body system I can think of is the skeletal system. What is the skeletal system responsible for doing? Anybody?
Giving your body its shape.
Okay, it helps give the body the shape. And what else does it do?
Protect your delicate organs.
It protects our delicate organs. So an example could be your skull protects your brain, that your ribs and your stomach protect your stomach and your organs, okay? Next human body system could be the muscular system. What does the muscular system do?
Helps you move.
Helps you move. Okay, so it wraps around your skeletal system and it helps move those bones. What does the circulatory system do?
Help.
Circulatory, it
Cold blood.
circulates. What does it circulate?
Blood.
It, not your heart. What does your heart pump?
Blood.
Blood. So the circulatory system is circulating the blood through your body. So it's what's moving the blood to your fingertips and your toes throughout your brain. What does the cardiovascular system do? What does cardiovascular mean? It's another word for what organ? Anybody? Cardiovascular means going once, going twice. Cardiovascular is your heart. Like cardio, if I ask you to do a cardio workout, I'm asking you to run or something that's going to make your heart beat extremely fast. So if you're doing a cardiovascular system, it's your heart. So that's how your heart is pumping the blood and moving it with your circulatory system throughout your body. What does your nervous system do?
It helps you move.
Nope. Close. Muscles help us move. The nervous system helps that by sending what?
Messages. Brain sends the nerves to your body and
Yeah. Similar, Jocelyn. It helps. It's your nervous system is your brain sending signals to the muscles in your body, telling them to move. So your nervous system is your brain and it's making your body move. So if you stump your toe or you slice your hand open, your nervous system is what lets you know that that hurt. What does the digestive system do?
help you digest your food and turn it into waste and energy.
Yep, it helps digest your food. So it's how you chew your food. It's how your stomach changes your food into waste. And lastly, what does the respiratory system do?
Helps you breathe.
Help you breathe. Helps you breathe. Okay, and all of those things work together so that you can do the 7 life processes of Mrs. Nerg so that you can stay alive. And those were the processes that are being reviewed in that human body systems video. If you want to go back and watch it later, for some reason, it's not letting me load it for us to be able to watch the whole thing. So we reviewed instead. So now we're moving to the second one. Pick 2 systems that we just talked about to describe how they support the whole body's function, okay? You're typing that answer in the box that says type your response below. Now, if you're wanting to show your work in your notebook, some of you show your work in your notebooks, then you send me pictures of it. That's completely fine. That's where number 3 comes in, where it says your writing can include sketches or pictures on how those 2 systems work together. So if you're doing it in your notebook, just send me a picture of it later, and that helps with number 3. Okay, so right now we're typing a response. You can pick any 2 systems. If you want your answer to be different from mine, that's completely fine. I'm going to choose to do the skeletal system and the nervous system. So those are the 2 I'm going to write about. So I'm going to write them in here so I don't forget it. So it's asking me to describe how they support the whole body. So I can't just say the skeletal system provides shape, because that doesn't help the whole body. I need to talk about how it supports something else. So I'm going to talk about how the skeletal system supports and protects all of my other organs so that they can do their job safely and correctly.
Okay.
Can't spell today. Okay, and then my next one was the nervous system. Hold on one second. Let me respond to Nicholas. Okay. And then next I picked the nervous system. So I'm not just going to talk about how the nervous system sends signals. I want to talk about how it works to help my body function. So the nervous system sends signals to help me move my body, and it helps let me know when I'm in danger or if I'm being hurt. It sends those signals to let my body know that that hurt, or I don't like that, or it makes me nervous or happy, any of those things to help support my body. Okay, so what I have is the skeletal system supports and protects all the other organs in the body. This allows the body to work safely. The nervous system works to send signals to the other body organs to say that hurt or to move. This helps us when we are in danger or doing everyday activities. So if you chose to use the same 2 human body systems, then feel free to have your answer look similar to that, or you could have picked different body systems, but your answer needs to be in a complete sentence. So if all you said was skeletal system and nervous system that I just highlighted, that is incorrect. And the only feedback I'm going to provide you is no work was shown. And then underneath it, I say the expectation is to answer in complete sentences or to show your work. So I've been giving the same feedback over and over again. So make sure you're giving me complete sentences so I can provide you some helpful feedback when it comes to science. That is me. Okay, I think I'll let you know. Okay. Any questions on the science portion before we move on? It's short, sweet, and to the point because reading is going to take us a little bit today. So again, if you want to watch the Human Body Systems video later on, it's linked for you. It's about 13 minutes long. I just could not get it loaded up for us to watch it past 2 minutes. So we reviewed together. Last minute questions on science. Okay, moving to math. Somebody have a question? Okay, math today, you have 2 activities. One, I'm only going to walk you through how to do it so that you can do it later on, because I can't play a game while you play a game. It doesn't really work like that. And then we'll do the memory jogger together. So the activity for today is a breakout game, similar to the ones we've done in class where you have to type in codes, but this one's completely online, okay? And it's linked in blue. So I'm going to click the link and walk you through it so you can kind of see what it looks like if you're playing it later on. It's going to review adding and subtracting fractions with you. Okay? So when you first pull it up, it says Maya Lewis searches for treasure, and that's the topic of the game. So she's crisscrossed the globe in search of lost treasure. Hundreds of years ago, pirates stole gold and hid it on the islands near Lima. The greedy pirates were double-crossed by their captain, and after a pirate battle, none survived. The gold is still out there, buried on an island in the Pacific Ocean. Maya Lewis has just reached an island. So each one below it is helping you move towards finding where the lost treasure would be. So they're blue locks up at the top, and they show you what type of code you're going to be typing in. So this first lock is blue. That's what we're working on. It would be a shapes lock. Okay. So it says she's so close to the island, she needs to set some anchors down because unfortunately there isn't a dock. At least not one she can see. Her greatest fear would be damaging the coral reef, so she needs to use enough anchors to go the whole distance without dragging on the bottom. Okay, and then it says open in a new window, and it shows anchors. That's going to be the game that I can pull up in just a second. Once I finish that game, it's going to give me a code. On this page, it says select the shapes that will open the lock, and then you put in the lock, and it will send you to the next game. So if I hit open in a new window, it opens up what would look like the anchors in the game. Right? And then you would, once you finish it, you could come in and type in your code down here at the bottom to take you to the next screen. And that's helping you practice adding and subtracting fractions. And if you're wanting to play that later on, it's there for you. What we're going to do together today is the memory jogger. A lot of us are struggling on what I mean by show your work. I understand it's on a computer and that can be very difficult. So again, if you're doing it on a sheet of notebook paper, wonderful. Send me a picture of it or add it to a Google slide or something so I can see your work to give you full credit. Okay. If you're not and you're typing it in, this is going to be a prime example on what I expect your work to look like. So no one else can give me the excuse of, I don't understand what you mean by show your work. Because the expectation here is exactly the same as in the classroom. You just aren't sitting with me in the same building, okay? So for our memory jogger today, we have 4 problems, okay? Problem A says Gianna has 9.5 gallons of tea before a family event. The family drank 5 5/8 gallons of sweet tea. The family drank 1 3/4 gallons of unsweet tea. How much tea was left after the event? So when I come down to problem A's workspace, the first thing I want to see is a question mark. What is the question asking? So it says, how much tea was left after the event? What could I put next to my question mark?
Left.
How much was left? Okay. Now I need to pull out the key information. How much tea did she have before the event? So how much tea did she have before they used any? First sentence.
9 1/2.
Thank you. 9.5 gallons. It's in the first sentence. Okay. Hold on. Then it says the family drank 5 5/8 gallons. So I'm gonna put drank, and that was 5 5/8 gallons. Okay. Then the family drank 1 3/4 gallons of unsweet tea. So I'm going to come up here next to drink, and I'm going to make this say sweet. Okay. How much tea was left after the event? So I have 3 numbers here. What does that tell me about the problem? Is it going to be single step or multi-step?
Multi-step problem.
Multi-step problem, okay? So this is going to take you more than one thing to answer it. So if I want to know how much is left, somewhere I'm going to have to subtract. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to list out the steps that I need to do to solve it. So the first thing I want to know is how much they used all together. So what 2 numbers should I add together to see what they drank total? So what 2 numbers should I add together to see what she drank total?
5 and 5/8 and 1 3/4.
Yes, 5 and 5/8, and then I would add 1 3/4. That's going to tell me the total that they drank. Well, 5 and 5/8 and 1 3/4 do not have a common denominator. So you need to show me what the common denominator would be before you give me the answer. So what could a common denominator be?
8.
8. Sorry, I'm trying to help everybody see the screen. Okay, so I have 5 and 5/8 because 8 can stay the same. Now I'm wanting to add 1 3/4, but I'm wanting to change it to have a denominator of 8. So that would make it look like 1 and what? If I want to change the denominator to an 8.
1 6/8.
1 6/8. Okay. Now you can add it together and show me the answer. So I know 5 plus 1 is 6. And man, 6. And I know 5/8 plus 6/8 is 11/8. Now, can I leave my answer 6 and 11/8 like that? Is that in
No.
proper best form?
No.
So I need to change it to a proper mixed number. So 6 and 11/8 is equivalent to what?
3.
Okay, 3/8. What would the whole number be?
7.
7. So 7 and 3/8 is what they've already drank. So that's step 1. That's not my answer because I now want to know how much is left. So now moving to the second step, what did we start with?
9.5.
9.5. And we are now subtracting 7 and 3/8 because that's what they've drank. So 9.5 and 7 and 3/8 do not have a common denominator. So what could a common denominator be?
8.
8. Okay. So that's going to turn 9.5 into 9 and 4/8 minus 7 and 3/8. Okay. So 9 minus 7 is 2. 4 minus 3 is 1/8. So there's 2 and 1/8 left. And I would highlight that as my answer. But this way shows me you thought about the problem. So if you are showing me problem A's workspace and then you just put 2 and 1/8, I'm not giving you any credit for that. Because 1, did you just copy it off my video and not try it yourself? Or 2, did you use a calculator? And if you're using a calculator, it's not the end of the world, but you need to show me your steps so I can see you tried at the problem. So I expect to see the question mark, pull your key information, and then show me the steps for your work. Does anybody have any questions about that expectation? Okay, moving to problem B. Tahita brought 2 kilograms of chocolate. If she cuts it into 0.08 kilogram pieces, how many people can it be shared with? So what's the question asking us to find?
How many people can have a piece?
Okay, so how many people can have a piece? So essentially I want to know how many people get some. That already tells me what about my answer. Is my answer going to be a fraction or a whole number? If I'm talking about people, can I have a fraction of a person?
No.
No, so my answer should be a whole number because I know we're dealing with people. So that already helps me kind of figure out what I need to do. Now we can pull out the key information. How much chocolate does she have?
2 kilograms.
2 kilograms. Okay, and how much does one person get?
0.8 hundredths.
800. So each person gets 800ths of a piece, and she has 2 to give away. Normally in class, we have these models. We would color in 800ths and color in 800ths and color in 800ths and color in 800ths. That's a little hard to do on your computer. I completely understand that. But if you're drawing models, shoot me a picture of it. If not, I just kind of pick a way that works using a computer, and then I just walk through it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to figure out how many pieces can I get from 1, because it's easier for me to add 800ths until I get to 1 and then go from there. Okay, so if I know that 800ths is 1 piece, I put 800ths equals 1 piece. I'm now going to multiply that by 10. 800ths times 10 is 8/10, and that equals 10 pieces or 10 people. Okay, so now I'm going to take that 800ths and I'm going to start adding until I can get close to either 1 or 2. It just kind of depends on how your brain works. If I double that, 8/10 plus 8/10, I get 1 6/10, and that would be 20 pieces because I doubled it. So now I'm pretty close to where I need to be. So if I do 1 6/10 plus 8/10, I get 1 6800ths, and that's 21 pieces. So now if I take 6800ths and add another 8, that is 1 76, which is 22 pieces. So then if I take 1 7600ths and I add another piece of 800ths, it turns into 1 84, which is 23 pieces. And I'm just going to keep going with that until I get to 2. Now, if you're solving it some way different, that's completely okay. But the way I'm solving it, it's just easy for you to follow along with my work on my screen. Is the only reason I'm solving it like this, because it's kind of easy to understand. So then if I take 1 8400ths plus another piece of 800ths, that turns into 1 92, which is 24 pieces. So if I take 1 9200ths plus another piece of 8, that equals 2 wholes, which is 25 pieces. So how many people can have a piece of chocolate?
25.
25 people. Man, can't spell. Okay, so then I would highlight my answer of 25. But I showed my thinking so that it's easy for Ms. Pope to follow along with what I did to provide feedback. You cannot just put problem B workspace equals 25 people, because I'm assuming you copied it off a video or you did not try it at all. So give me something that shows you at least read the problem, pull out the key information, because that is a class-wide expectation, and then show me something on how you got the answer. Any questions on problem B? Okay, moving to problem C. Anna worked for 1,920 hours this year. Anna worked 3 times as many hours as her friend Miguel. How many hours did Miguel and Anna work all together? So what's this question asking for me to find?
The total.
The total. I want to know the total hours that they worked together. Well, how long did Anna work?
1,920 hours.
Good. And what do we know about Miguel's work?
Anna worked 3 times as many hours as her friend Miguel.
Okay, so if she worked 3 times as many, I'm going to write Anna worked 3 times as much, so we can kind of understand that. Okay, and then I want to know the total that they worked together. So this is going to be a multiple step problem. The first thing I need to do is figure out how long Miguel worked so I can add their hours together. So if it says Anna worked 3 times as much as Miguel, What do I have to do to figure out how long he worked?
Divide her number by 3.
Yes, I need to divide her number by 3. So I have 1,920 and I want to divide it by 3, okay? Underneath this, I'm gonna list my easy facts, 1, 2, 5, and 10, and then keep going using 3 so that I'm showing my process of how I would divide. Unless you're doing your work on a sheet of paper and then you're sending me a picture of it. So if I start with 1 times 3, that equals 3. 2 times 3 equals 6. 5 times 3 equals 15. 10 times 3 equals 30. So I'm going to keep going because 30 is nowhere near where I need to be. So I'm going to do 20, 50. Hold on. Let me let a few people in. Okay. So now I'm going to do 20, 50, and 100 and then keep going. Why is there a space? 20 times 3 is 60. 50 times 3 is 150. 100 times 3 is 300. 200 times 3 is 600. 500 times 3 is 1,500. 100, 1,000 times 3 equals 3,000. And 3,000 is too large because she only has 1,920 hours. So we have to go the one underneath that. One second. Okay, so I'm going with 500 times 3, which is 1,500. So then I'm going to do 1,920 minus 1,500. And in parentheses, I'm going to put 500 because that was 500 times 3. Now I'm going to subtract to see what was left. 1,920 minus 1,500 gives me 420 hours that are left, okay? So now these are all too large, so I can take them out and I'm using 300. So now 420 minus 300, where 300 is 100, so I'm adding that to parentheses. Now I'm subtracting. 420 minus 300 gives me 120 left. So now 300 and 150 is too big, so I can use 60. 120 minus 60, which is 20, will leave me with 60. So now I can do the same thing again. 60 minus 60, which is 20, leaves me with 0. So now if I take my numbers that I put inside the parentheses, that's going to tell me how long he worked. So I have 500 plus 100 plus 20 plus 20. Okay, so how long did Miguel work? 500 plus 100 plus 20 plus 20 equals
640.
640 hours. So that's how long Miguel worked. That's not my answer, but now I know how long he worked. So now what do I need to do to figure out how long they worked together?
Add.
Add them. So I have 640 plus 1,920. Okay. So I'm starting with my ones place. 0 plus 0 is 0. Tens place. 2 plus 4 is 6. Hundreds place. 9 plus 6 is 15. And then there's 1,000. So my answer is 2,560 hours. And I would highlight that to show it's my total. Any questions on problem C? It's difficult when you're trying to show your work on the computer. I completely understand that. So if it's easier for you to divide like normal using Bag of Tricks on your paper, do it. And then just shoot me a picture of it so that I can see you didn't type that into a calculator. Any questions before we move to the last one? Okay, problem D, which for some reason says problem A on this memory jogger, but the last one. 4 students recorded the time it took them to run across the track. Record the students in order from fastest to slowest. So what's the question asking for us to do? So I need to put them in order from fastest to slowest. Okay. Fastest to slowest does not say least to greatest or greatest to least. So I want you to think about something. If I'm putting them in order from the fastest runner means they finish the race first. Would their number be smaller or bigger than everyone else's if they finished first?
Smaller.
They would be smaller. So it's asking for you to put it in order from least to greatest. Okay. So hopefully that little hint helps us a little bit. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the numbers and I'm going to write them in standard form because they're in word form. So I'm going to put a K for Kiana because I need this key information. Kiana's time was 3 and 78 thousandths. When I read something in word form and I come across the word and, what does and mean?
Decimal.
So if I say 3 and, what does that mean?
A decimal.
Means a decimal. Hold on 1 second, Olivia, and I'll go back to the answer. I've got something in my chat box I got to take out. Problem C's answer was 2,560 hours. I don't know why it's still trying to send it to Olivia. Okay. Okay. So that would be 3 and, which is a decimal, 78. So she looks like 3.78 is hers in standard form. The next person is Barb. So I'm putting a B for Barb. 3 and, so you told me and would be a decimal. That's 3.78 hundredths. 78 hundredths. So now what did I do wrong? Because Kiana and Barb, I have them being the same at 3.78, but they aren't the same in word form. One is 3 and 78 thousandths, and one is 3 and 78 hundredths. Those are not the same thing, but mine look the same. So where did I go wrong?
You didn't put a 0 at the end of 3 and 78 thousandths.
In which one? For Kenna or Barb?
Kenna.
Okay, if I add a 0 to the end, that's now 3 and 780 thousandths. So you're on the right track with the 0, but where does the 0 need to go so that it still stays 78?
Behind the 8.
Like that?
Yes.
That's 3 and 780 thousandths. I needed to say 78. So where can I put a 0 and it still say 78?
In front of the 7.
In front of the 7. Okay, so it's 3.078 so that it stays 78. Now they look different. So now I can move to Marilyn. Marilyn's number is 3 and 708 thousandths. So 3 and 708 thousandths. That is Marilyn.
Anderson says he can only see tabs.
Only see tabs. I know Luna was having trouble seeing my screen too. I was trying to help her figure it out, but there's not a ton that I can do while I'm live to figure it out. It happened to me the other day in a staff meeting. Someone's screen was black and I couldn't see it. But if you can hear me, the best thing I would say at the moment is to have your work pulled up and then just type in the answers in your work as we go. Anderson, you said it looks like that on YouTube too. Does it look like that every day or just some days?
Some days.
Some days not recording, the screen's like black?
Yeah.
I can try to look into it. It's going to be a Zoom issue. And I have a staff meeting today at 3, so I'll ask them if anybody else is having issues with the black screen and see if they know a way to fix it. Until then, I'm recording this and I'll post it up when I'm finished, and hopefully it won't be black then. But if so, I will leave all of my work on this page so that when you go into Canvas and you click that link, or you go into Google Classroom and you click it, my work is still there for you to see so that you can then submit your work to me. So hopefully that'll help a little bit, but I'm not doing that every day, because then some of you will literally copy and paste into my document and you'll be done in 2 minutes. But for today, I can leave all of my work in here because I normally delete it out. So that if you click that link in Canvas or Google Classroom later, if your screen's been black, the work will still be on that document for you to see if you need to kind of fill in the gaps. Hopefully that'll help. But we have one more question for math, so let's knock this one out. We're on Angie. Angie says 3 and, which would be 3.7 tenths. So she looks like 3.7. And we're putting them in order from fastest to slowest, which means smallest to biggest. So remember, the way we do that is we start in the ones place, because that's as big as we get, and we look for numbers that are different. So in the ones place, they all have 3s, so that doesn't help me. They all have a decimal, so that doesn't help me. So now I'm in the tenths place. I have a 0, 7, 7, 7. So what is smaller, 0 or 7?
0.
0. So my first number is going to be the Kiena, which was 3.078. Okay. So now I'm moving to the 3 7 numbers, moving over. One's an 8, one's a 0, and then one does not have a number at all. That's Barb, Marilyn, and Angie. So whose number would be the next if I'm going from smallest to biggest? The 7 8, the 7 0, or the 7 with nothing behind it? Which one would be smallest?
Nothing behind it.
The one with nothing behind it, because that would just be a bunch of zeros. Okay. So now what is smaller, the 8 or the 0?
The 0.
The 0, and then that would mean that 3.78 was the slowest. And since it wanted it in order from fastest to slowest, I'm going to highlight how they're in order. So I highlighted my order of least to greatest, or fastest to slowest. And again, I will leave this work up in this document today so that you can see it, but you will need to make sure that it transfers over to your work before you submit it, in case your screen's been black. You can go back and see all of the work, and you can listen to the video to see how we did it if it's not working for you. And then that's math for today, okay? So the last thing we need to look at is reading, okay? Reading is a completely different tab. So if you were working on your reading on Friday, it's the same thing that I said you might want to save in your Google Drive, because we were going to use it for multiple days. Now, if you did not work on this on Friday, it's okay, because I'm going to pull up the document and we're going to work through the part 1 together. So in your Canvas or in your Google Classroom, you will see where it says POPE, Body Systems, like Performance Task. And it's got a bunch of different things that need to be opened. And I'm pulling mine up right now. So if you can see my screen, you're looking for what you open it up. It says part 1 and then has a table. This table is what we were working on Friday, where I went ahead and did the first 3 with you, and your job was to finish the chart. And everything that's blue is a link. These are all the things we've read in the past week or 2. So you've already read the articles. You don't have to reread them. It was just telling me what it's about, telling me what body system that is, and why is that body system important, okay? Here's what we're using this chart for. Part 2 is what you're working on today. So now you're going to start writing a narrative about body systems. And we did a few of these in class before, where you've had to write an opinion piece, okay? So your task says there are many systems in the human body. Each system performs a special life process function. The question you're going to be answering is, which body system do you think is the most important to human health? So from this chart, you need to pick one body system. Could be the nervous, the respiratory, the cardiovascular, the digestion, the skeletal, the muscular, whatever system you think is most important is what you're going to pick. And you're going to start filling these structures out, okay? a lot of us get confused with what these are in class. So I want to kind of help us with the introduction idea, and then you can work on paragraphs 1 and 2. When it says hook, how will you hook your audience to catch their attention? In this box, do not put my hook is. No, no, no. Those are just telling you what you need to figure out. So I need to come up with something that's going to hook my audience into what I'm about to write about. So if I'm talking about why the skeletal system is the most important to me, I could talk about, have you ever wondered how your feet move one in front of the other when you're walking and you never even think about it? That might be my hook, because I'm trying to catch your attention, where you might be like, yeah, now that you talk about it, I can just walk and I don't have to tell my foot to like pick it up and step. It just moves on its own. Okay, that's your bones moving. It's also part of your nervous system telling your feet to move. So that would be my hook if that's what I'm going with. I would say something like, have you ever wondered why your feet will move one in front of the other while? Okay, that's my hook. It's just something that's interesting that gets them hooked and they want to keep reading. So all I said was, have you ever wondered why your feet move one in front of the other while walking without really even thinking about it? That's all you're putting there is what your sentence would be. That would be called your hook. Then the next sentence says that I need to introduce my topic, provide necessary background or content for your topic. So this is where I would restate what's highlighted. Which body system do you think is most important? I think that the nervous or the skeletal system, that the nervous system is the most important body, I can't spell, body system, because it allows my body to move and react in 1 second or less. So I introduced my topic. My topic is the most important body system. So I said, I think that the nervous system is the most important body system because it allows my body to move and react in 1 second or less. Because if I stub my toe, I know it like immediately. If I cut my hand, I know it immediately. And those coming from my nervous system and being able to move my body. Then your opinion statement. You're stating your opinion. This is where all your reasons are going. So I need paragraph 1 needs to be 1 reason. Paragraph 2 needs to be 2 reasons. So in this box, I need to state 2 reasons why I believe that's the most important. Okay. So I'm going to start off by saying the nervous system is responsible for the movement of my Okay, so it's short, sweet, and to the point. The nervous system is responsible for the movement of my skeletal system, moving my body like my feet, and it's responsible for when my body is in pain, it sends me messages. So when I get down to where it says supporting paragraph reason 1 would be the first reason I posted, responsible for the movement of my skeletal system. So that whole paragraph, I'm talking about how my nervous system sends messages telling me to move my body. Then paragraph 2 is reason 2. So in that whole paragraph, I would be talking about how does it send messages to let me know that I'm in pain. Okay, so this whole introduction helps set up all of this typing. Now I'm not gonna sit here online with us while we all type around. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm going to stop the recording so I can post this on YouTube for people who missed our Zoom meeting so that they can see the science and the math work. And I'm going to have office hours later. Okay. What I mean by office hours is I'm going to come back on to Zoom from 1 to 1:30. So if you have a question about your reading, if you have a question about what you're writing, if you have a question about why was the screen black, is it still black, have we fixed it? any of those questions, then you can click the Zoom code and you can pop in between 1 and 1:30, and I'm essentially there to help you. So then I can have you share your screen. I can read your writing for you. Anything you need help with, I will come back online from 1 to 1:30 to be able to help you. Okay, does that make sense? Anybody have any final questions with me before I end the Zoom meeting for this morning?
I have a question.
Okay.
Every time I go to YouTube, I see your YouTube channel, but I can't see the full screen.
Have you subscribed to the channel? Because the way my channel is set up, it's not going to let you watch the whole videos until you hit the subscribe button, which lets you know you're one of my students.
I clicked the subscribe button.
Okay, and it's not letting you watch the whole video?
No.
Okay, I will look into it because I'm about to end this one and then I'm posting this into YouTube. So I will be on the website and I'll look and see if I can fix what you're talking about. And if it's still not working, come to my office hours at 1 to 1:30 and we'll see if we can fix it. Anybody else have a question? And you can always text or call me before then if you have something that you're struggling with and if you need me. Okay. All righty. Well, I'm going to end so that I can post this in YouTube for people who missed it. And if you need me, I'll see you in just a little bit.